Welcome back to another edition of the Gem Geek with the concierge gemologist Jake Talby Goodman. Today I have something very special for us to look at. As I turn the probe inside of the microscope, this will reveal a 6-rayed Jedi twinned spinel crystal. This particular crystal formation is called the Star of David because it resembles a 6-rayed star. Now, the way this came into existence, deep underground in Myanmar, which is where this comes from, also where some of the finest gems come from in the world, one spinel crystal started to grow. Off the corner of the ions, they created enough space for another crystal. This is actually called a penetration twin, when one crystal starts growing in one direction and something occurs, something within its growth cycle, that causes another crystal to find space within the first to kind of nudge its way in, and it starts growing in an opposite direction, but in the same structure. So what you see here is potentially two separate crystals coming from the same growth. It's a twin, two identities from one starting point. Now, there are several spinels that we know. If you haven't heard of it before, you've probably seen one. They're closely similar to corundum, to sapphire. In fact, they can be found at some of the same deposits, which is why some people would confuse them for sapphire or ruby over time. And one of the most famous rubies in the world is actually a spinel. The Black Prince's ruby, which is in the crown jewels, is actually not a ruby. It is a spinel. The history as to how this became Star Wars Jedi moniker is pretty interesting. There was a gemologist in 2002, Vincent Perdue, still in the industry, still doing great work. He actually coined the phrase Jedi Spinel because when he was tasked with finding a particular type of spinel crystal, where this one comes from, he noted that one of the downsides to many spinel crystals was the dark side, which you didn't want to add a darkness to the material. So the beautiful, lovely spinels didn't have that dark side. And since Star Wars movie was popular in the theater at the time that he was searching, he started saying things like, "The Force is strong in spinel, but beware the dark side." And thus, the Jedi Spinel moniker was born. So you can only have a Jedi Spinel if it lacks that dark center.